to go live. Well, hello, everyone. This is the Six Screen Sunday. We're glad you came in. Well, my name's Rick Farron. I'm up here in Boston, and I am looking over the internet and seeing what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Well, we have a program coming up here next. It's called Ex Jehovah's Witnesses Share Their Story of Being in the Watchtower. Do you have a story of being in the Watchtower? I think everyone listening to this program who's been involved with the Jehovah's Witnesses have a story to tell. And I'm going to tell you, these stories can get really painful. I mean, seriously, listening to them. Some of the problems Jehovah's Witnesses have placed on people who leave the Watchtower can be traumatic. Well, we have a woman. She's a former Jehovah's Witness. Her name is Anne Marie, and she's coming in from California. She's the host of the program. Anne Marie, come on and say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. Happy Six Screen Sunday. We only get it twice a month. Sometimes, if we're lucky, 3 times. It's a beautiful day in freedom from the Watchtower.
Yeah, now you have a saying that I like a lot. I think it was one of your guests or one of your people that you interviewed that brought it up. It's something about freedom. One day of freedom. Would you state that little saying that you always come up with? I like it. Let the audience know.
Yeah, I heard it mentioned on Mikey and Kim's show. Some XJW sister said it, and I kind of rearranged it a little bit. But basically, the saying is the worst day in freedom is still better than the best day in a mind control cult.
Oh, I like that. Don't you like sayings that really are sensible sayings that you can take to the bank and cash? That one you can do it. And we can all relate to that. Being involved with the Jehovah's Witnesses, Anne Marie. Good. Now,
Absolutely.
I'm going to mention, we did have a guest that was going to come on. I'm not sure that they're on here with us. I'm just going to, this is the, that we go through here on Sundays. Sometimes people forget about it or they chicken out or whatever it is. If you were going to speak up on the call today, hit *6 on your telephone pad. If you're going to tell your story, we did have a woman that was scheduled for today, and I'm not sure she's in here, Anne Marie. But, we always do our best to get someone to come and tell their story, right?
Well, so many people tend to just come on impromptu on this show or that show. It seems to happen on your JW World News, which is probably the worst time. But every once in a while, somebody will just pop in and say, well, I just have a comment. And then the floodgates open up and everything that happened to them, what they went through comes out, because we have all had a lonely, hard time in the Watchtower. Everybody's story is different. So, if we don't have our guest on in the meantime, sooner or later, I hope anybody feels free to even still share a snippet, or if they feel, wow, I never told this story before or whatever. We all have a little story. Maybe you remember a particular demonstration at a convention and it was very upsetting and you were like shaking your head like, what? And everybody else is clap, clap, clap. Oh, that was just so uplifting. And it was bizarre. It was crazy. It was wrong. It wasn't Christian. I've heard that. Or just the way people maybe talk to you, or the way maybe you heard people talk about others, or your struggle in the Watchtower. Our trek in the Watchtower, all of us have been through it, but all of our stories are different.
Well, Anne-Marie, we do have a caller coming in. I'm not sure this is the one we were looking for here, but we do have a 940. Did you want to 940? Did you want to say something? Go ahead. Hello, 940. Well, I guess they were on and they came off, but anyways, I'm sorry, Anne-Marie, didn't mean to butt in there, but I saw the caller coming in. So Yeah, if there's anybody,
Rick,
yes, yes.
Rick, this is Becky
Oh,
in
Becky.
Texas.
Yeah, hello, Becky. Becky. Yep.
Hi, yeah. Okay, I've got my notes because I don't want to go all over the place. Anne Marie, I know she's busy.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna turn you over to
Okay.
Anne Marie. Anne Marie is the girl, and she does a wonderful job. So, Anne
Thank
Marie, you say hello to Becky.
Hi, Anne
Okay,
Marie.
thank you. Hi, Becky. Thank you, my brother Rick. So,
Thanks
hi,
so much,
Becky.
Rick.
Were you wanted to tell your story, my dear?
I want to tell part of it that I know that maybe someone else needs to hear.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
Becky,
Yes.
hold on. Take a breath.
Thank
Okay?
you. Thank you.
We are so happy to have you on this show. Let me introduce the show, please. Today is April 21st, 2024. I welcome you all in to another Six Screen Sunday. This show is ex-Jehovah's Witnesses share their Watchtower story. And today we are happy to say we have our sister Becky. We don't know her yet, at least I don't, but we are all ears, Becky, to hear your story. Now, do you feel more comfortable just starting out and just talking and letting me maybe ask a clarifying question? Because I notice when people get emotional, they tend to kind of go all over the place, and it's hard to, you want to keep it as sequential as possible. So if I have to ask a question, is that okay with you?
No problem.
Fantastic. So do you feel more comfortable just taking a breath and just letting yourself start at a place that feels most comfortable to you? Is that
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
The floor is yours, Becky.
Okay.
You go, girl.
My family were Catholics. When I was 7, the witnesses came to the door 2 weeks later. It was a big family. We all became witnesses rapidly. And, service and everything. Anyway, I've been disfellowshipped since 2002. I knew they didn't have any power over me at that point. So, really, the little bit of light that you've got to water before you do wake up, that's the way I was going through the years. And I'm very thankful for these shows. Now, something I'd like to share, I've talked to this with others in my life. I've just never been completely public with it. But, okay, anyway. Okay, I was molested when I was 10. It was a brother in the congregation. I blocked it out and remembered it at 17, a few months after I was baptized. And I was baptized alone in the pool before anybody got there. It was great. Anyway, so I remembered that. Went to talk to one elder with my mother. My poor mom. Okay. Told him everything that I knew what happened, and the brother was called in to a committee meeting, and he confessed every single thing I said. He gave them a full confession. They never called me in to an back then we called them elders meeting, us kids. They never called me into a committee meeting. I never had to handle a committee meeting over this, although they did talk to my parents. Talking about it to anyone, parents, siblings, not just anyone, Anne-Marie, but everyone. Okay. That means you
I'm sorry,
you don't talk about
Becky,
Mm-hmm.
please forgive me. I am
Mhm.
sensing a lot of trauma as you are very bravely trying to talk about what happened to you. It sounds like it was so traumatic what happened to you that you just blocked it out, and you're just coming across as it is very, very traumatized. So I think
I came across it long ago. I just had a couple of seizures and a mini stroke, so my voice gets caught up when I'm trying to speak. That's all.
No, you're very, very clear. I'm sorry, honey. I'm trying to I think I misunderstood you. You said you talked to an elder. The elder was called to talk to the elders, and as far as you know, the person who did this to you confessed, and you said he confessed to everything. And then I heard everybody. Are you saying
Okay.
he told everybody?
Okay. I'll take it for there. I was never, okay. I was never called into a committee meeting. He was never turned into the authorities. He was disfellowshipped. There was no talking about it to anyone, parents, siblings, friends, everybody. So it's not just don't talk to anyone about it. It means don't talk to everyone. Nobody. No counseling, of course. That came later. I'll have to discuss that some other time. But as far as I know right now, one elder that knows about it that I told, and he was one of them that baptized me in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, by the way. Thank good they didn't have a chance to practice. Anyway, sorry. The perpetrator is alive, and one of the POs that was around that time is still alive. I don't know. I'll have to talk to Barbara's Minds, COs and DOs back then, names. But that's okay. They might not have known anything about it. It doesn't, and some people who know, and I'm hoping that those that I know and that know me, my family, friends, all those that love me still and call me, whether they're in or not, I appreciate it. But I'm hoping that the ones hearing this remember it. The ones that know, remember it and go, oh my gosh. I mean, that's it. That's all I could do is plant that seed. If it lands somewhere in Marie, you know what I mean?
I mostly I'm just respecting your bravery. When you say you're planting the seed, what seed? How would you define the seed that you're hoping that people will get?
Okay. I don't want to do this. I'm going to do Mr. Let. Anyone that says that we hide pedophiles and child molesters in our congregations, it's a false-faced lie. And I pointed at the screen and I said, no, Let, you're the false-faced liar because I'm one of them. And he even confessed and no one turned him in. And that's been 17, I don't know.
Yeah, I remember that when you was on there.
59. I'm 59. So That's how long ago it was, when I was 10. And then I told them when I was 17. And I had to do my own counseling and helping others that helped me. So kind of my work and everything else helped me. And I'm glad I had secular work later on. In a very abusive marriage, Emery, and
Oh,
in every way. So you and me understand each other about that. Don't cry for me because I'm strong for you, sis. And if you start crying, no one cries in my presence alone. And I can feel your heart. So take a breath with me.
I do know it's very, very, very difficult.
It's okay. Maybe it was in Houston.
Okay.
It was in one of the original congregations. Can I say details? Because I'm not slandering nobody.
Becky, whatever it's
yeah.
heart.
Okay, good. Okay, it was in Houston, Texas, Heights congregation, and it happened in 74, 75-ish. It's like right there at school. It's right there. I remember what I was wearing. It was my brand new clothes, and as number 8 in family, I didn't get my own clothes very often, and I ended up throwing those away. I'll tell you about that later, Anne-Marie. Anyway, it would have been 82. Those papers would have gone across Barbara's desk if she was still there, maybe early 83. And it was a paper that had a confession on it. I just wanted her to be able to hang, have that paper and my permission to do whatever the heck she needs to with it, because I don't want blood money or hush money. I don't need my friends and families and stuff last dollar. I don't need it. So I ain't looking to get nothing out of this except somebody remembering me and remembering what I shared with them a long time ago. And maybe go, oh my gosh, that's right. Like you do after you wake up, you kind of go backwards and you go, wait a minute, what? And you keep patting the top of your head, and sometimes it's really bad and you pop the back of your head, like, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. That little girl is very safe and sound because I had help while I was there. I was not alone, if you understand me.
I understand you.
Okay. So I guess after I was baptized, it was the right time to say something. I know if I'd have said something when I was 10, and my dad had only been around the truth for a couple of years, because we came in 70, 71, and 70. We were hunters. And we're in Texas, and somebody touches his baby. Yeah, if I'd have told anything at 10 years old, people would have died. Literally, my daddy would have been in prison. So maybe there was a reason why it stayed going.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe I was afraid of hurting my mother and her crying every single night more. I don't know. I can't tell you why. I'm just glad I was able to deal with things and have other relationships in my life before I did remember. And then after I remember, it made a lot of sense, some of the choices and paths I took along the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult to be awakened as a little girl what a grown-up woman is supposed to feel. And you are so confused at that age. So much, I don't care if you're a boy or a girl, confusion It's infusion. It's infused into your near future. Unless you take care of it, it just keeps infusing, getting harder and harder to take care of. Best time to talk about it is early. I've talked about this since I was 17, and find somebody out there in the planet that's, where I'm working or something, and sit and commiserate with them. They're out. You can go to counseling sessions and they're there. Group sessions always help me more.
Good for you.
So I haven't gone to any of those in a while. Well, really years. I've been in a really safe place inside and outside and around me. And I'm very thankful to the guy I got. And I believe in Jesus' protection of his loving hands. And man, if God is for us, who can be against us, right, sis?
Absolutely, my sister.
Because he'll shut the mouths of the lions that keep trying to break in here on you guys. He'll shut them. Yup, he will. Anyway, do you need to ask me anything? I'll try on years, but I'm hoping that Barbara heard that maybe she remembers everything that comes across her desk. I can't even imagine having a brain like that. Especially now. So that's it. Yeah, that's really it about that. Oh, Anne-Marie, you remember Romans 11:11? Was that you that shared that the other day?
I'm sorry. What did you say I shared?
When you were you the one that shared Romans 11:11 the other day?
I don't believe so. Why don't you tell me?
Maybe it was Susan. Maybe it was Susan. Yeah. Well, anyway, I was moved to go ahead and read the whole chapter of 11, and that really cleared up Romans 11:11 for me, really. And I really, thanks for mentioning it. I think it was Susan or you. Because at the end, starting at verse 33, there's a hymn there from Isaiah 40. And I read the hymn that was there at the end. And it cleared the whole thing up. It's exactly what the 11:11 means. At least for me, I don't know. Somebody else has to read it for themselves. Anyway, I just want to say thanks for whoever brought that up to my attention.
Well, I'm sure probably was Susan. Susan's great at that.
I know, right? Information.
Yeah. So now I want to look
at that congregation in Houston is still there, still functioning. If anybody wants the address, I don't want to say the address because I don't want somebody that's mad because of something I said to hurt anybody else. Because there are some people out there who say, "Oh, I heard this," and the 2 to 3 witness rule just got blown off the earth. I'm like,
Well, it's a real. It's still a shock to me to find out that there are not only pedophiles scattered throughout the organization, but that basically, from what I have heard over the years, there always have been. The governing body has always known, and even everybody by now knows about governing body Greenleaves running around molesting any of the young boys that he could get molested. And he raped a little 8-year-old boy who was the son of a couple that used to come to Bethel. They didn't live there, but they were translators from English into Finnish, and so they would just basically let their 8-year-old boy just have free reign running around, and this horrible governing body member who was a pedophile got this little boy in his room and raped him, and the boy was so terrified and traumatized that he didn't tell anybody for years. And what you went through, you said that it bothered you when you heard Stephen Lett talk about, basically mocking anybody who thinks that Watchtower protects pedophiles. I know for a fact that he knew at the time, because it came across on Kimmy and Mikey's show. A dear brother who was a very faithful Jehovah's Witness, had absolute trust in the Watchtower organization, found out that his little girl, and I do believe she was very, very young, maybe 5 or 6, had gotten molested, and maybe once or twice, by a certain brother. And he had gone to the elders, and they basically said what you said. They always say, well, do you have any witnesses? It's like, if you can't produce 2 witnesses, it didn't happen. Keep your mouth shut. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah. And
so
there was
what
a
happened?
confession, so there went their 2 to 3 witness rule.
Exactly.
And they didn't turn them in, and they disfellowshipped them, reinstated them, and you know how it goes, fast-tracked them to the elder line. And when the magazine came out about molestation, I called the family home.
Mm-hmm.
I knew he'd be around his eldest father. And I said, you seen the magazine? And he goes, I'm stepping down, Becky. I'm stepping down now. They want me to wait for them to write the society, and I'm not going to wait. I'm stepping down. I said,
okay, honey, who are you referring to that said he's stepping down? The one who
perpetrator. The perpetrator.
You actually called the man who did this to you?
Yeah. When I was 17, they said, well, we're going to call him. And I said, no. I'll call him. I want to hear his voice. So I called him with a couple of my sisters there. And the first thing out of his mouth was, Becky, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And both my sisters, I couldn't even pick their mouths up off the counter for about an hour. And because they knew right then. And I said, I'm going to talk to the brothers. Because I did talk to the brothers, but I said, I'm going to talk to the brothers. And he said, tell them to call me. I'll come in. I said, of course you will. Tell your mom and dad hi, bye. Yeah. Hung up the phone, and I looked at my sisters across the bar, and I went, are we all done doubting now?
Did you actually have people who doubted your story in your family?
No, okay. They said they didn't, but I could tell by their face when their mouths dropped that they really didn't completely believe me. And I'm like, wow. I'm 17 now. This happened when I was 10, when I was a teeny little, long string bean little tomboy, which I still am, but still.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was a baby girl,
Yeah, of course you were.
And I knew immediately that it wasn't my fault.
Well, thank God for that.
Right.
Are you still there, Becky?
I'm sorry, I pushed the wrong button.
Oh, you sound like me. I feel better already.
Now, look, you can ask me anything you want. Anybody can. I don't have anything to hide, but I'm going to keep personal names on the other side. That's their story to tell, Anne-Marie, and you know that. And if they call...
Nobody's asking you to share anything you don't want to share a personal name. I just wanted to back up.
I know.
If I could just back up and absolutely verify what you said, expressing your anger at Brother Lett for acting all innocent when he talked about how Watchtower protects their children. BS. Like I said, there was this dear brother who had found out his little girl, much younger than yours, had been molested, gone to the elders. The elders told him to be quiet, don't go to the authorities. So he wrote a 5-page letter to Stephen Lett. It turns out that Stephen Lett and this poor father, who was so traumatized about nothing being done about the molester of his daughter, he wrote to Lett because they had been close personal friends before Lett got to Bethel, before he became governing body. So he poured out his heart to Stephen Lett, and he got back a very short, succinct letter, basically, so sorry you and your family are going through this, but thank God, or praise Jehovah that you're still loyal to Jehovah, that kind of thing. No acknowledgement, no anything. And it was before he went up on jw.org and talked about how the organization protects the pedophiles. We would have never known that this had happened because his brother wrote a personal letter to Lett, and Lett wrote back a personal letter. The only reason we know this happened is because the poor brother was so traumatized and so hurt over Stephen's response that he sent everything to Kim and Mikey, and Kim and Mikey put it on one of their videos. And
I think that's where I saw it. I think that's where I saw it, and I stood up so fast, my finger was pointing. I hadn't been that mad, Emery, since the last time I was that mad. Okay, you know what I mean?
You know the truth. You know the truth, and it wasn't just you who are terribly troubled, but you know that they know, that Stephen knows that this, and for him to get up there and talk about all these apostate-driven lies and dishonesty designed to separate us from Jehovah's organization.
Yeah, but I was concerned. I was concerned more about everybody else. And I went, oh my word, they're never going to listen to me. Oh, help. You know, I'm just like, no, they're not. They're just not going to listen. And then more changes, and I'm like, they're not going to listen. But I do know, I think, didn't Barbara help? Not that I want any help, because there's other people that need their attention a lot worse than I do, that are really, really in a quagmire maze. And because, like that movie Labyrinth, at the end the girl says, you have no power over me. And then the whole maze falls down right in front of her. Boom. At the end of the movie. Do y'all, anybody saw that movie?
Becky, it really helps people to understand when you complete your thought. You started to talk about something about Barbara Anderson and helping others, and you went off into the labyrinth. And I understand.
Thank you.
We know what you're going to say.
I appreciate it. I really, truly do. Because I think that Barbara helped a girl a while back that had a confession. But then, like lies and stuff and other stuff that was going on with the guy that heard her out. I can't remember if it was stepfather or what. But it's still on the Barbara Anderson videos about I can't remember her name. I'm sorry, I'm listening to this. I'm just watching. Barbara would remember. I don't.
May I jump in with what you're saying? And you tell me if this is what you're referring to. In 2002, Dateline did a huge expose on the Watchtower. This is the very first time I remember there being an actual expose on the Watchtower and how there are pedophiles and how they cover up pedophiles, protect pedophiles, and how they threaten the victim and the victim's family. There was a young girl named Erica Garza who had beautiful parents in the Watchtower, and her father was an elder. Her father's best friend was an elder, and it wasn't until she was older, about 16, 17, she and her parents moved to another congregation. Only then did she go to her parents and tell them that her father's best friend, an elder who practically lived at their house, very trusted family friend, had been molesting her and raping her since she was like 5. His father was so upset. He went to the elders. They told him to be quiet about it. We don't have witnesses. The guy denied it. As usual, they denied it. It's very rare for them to confess. And so she decided to go to the police, and she got a phone call threatening her that if she didn't keep her mouth shut, she'd be disfellowshipped. They basically said, don't do it. And by now she's old enough to decide for herself. And it got to where Dateline heard about it. Well, this guy continued to deny it ever happened. And this was back in the days when the committee, the judicial committee at the Kingdom Hall, would actually have the perpetrator, the molester, face his victim and make the victim tell everything that happened. Can you imagine the type? I hope it didn't happen to you. But thank God, because there was such an uproar, they changed the rule that required the rape victim, the child molester victim, to have to say their story and what happened, right to not only all the elders in the committee, but to the very man that attacked them. And it was double terrible. So Erica Garza, she got in contact with Bill Bowen, the elder from Kentucky, who had been very upset because he was an elder having to work with an elder in the same congregation, and that he knew was a child molester. Nobody was doing anything about it because nobody ever tells the congregation, brothers, sisters, we just want you to know that there is a pedophile, or 2 or 3, that is in this congregation. We want to suggest that you very carefully keep an eye on your children. They never, ever. Yeah, that'll be never. So that's how Bill Bowen kind of decided to get involved, because he thought there has to be more out there. So he started a website called Silent Lambs and put out the call, are there any JWs or ex-JWs who were molested as young children in the Watchtower? And the flood of stories came in. He was shocked. Well, Barbara Anderson, our dear Barbara Anderson, who thank God comes on 6 Screens, who was a researcher at Bethel when she was doing the research for the book of, oh my God, you guys know, some book that the Watchtower brags about, you know, their purpose or whatever. And she had come across by accident a huge bunch of files of almost 2,000, or I forgot how many, actual files that the Watchtower had on known pedophiles, not just suspected. And you know, when you see one roach, there's at least 100 more. So this has been going on forever. In fact, Barbara's exact words are, this has been going on forever. Those are Barbara's words. And she is the one that joined forces with Bill Bowen, and she decided to go with the court. And when Erica Garza, she said, when I walked into that courtroom, on my side was just my parents and Barbara Anderson and Bill Bowen. On the perpetrator, the rapist side, the one who had molested her for years, most of her life, on his side, she said, were the whole congregation and all, I mean, it was packed. Everybody was supporting the pedophile. But the judge and the jury realized from the evidence that was presented, they knew what he was, and they convicted him. But this was on Dateline, and before it aired, Watchtower made sure to disfellowship Barbara Anderson for apostasy or causing divisions or whatever stupid excuse they have. And I believe they also disfellowship poor brother Bill Bowen, and all he had ever wanted to do was the right thing. And it's pretty disgusting. Well, before the show aired, the Watchtower announced at the meetings, at the conventions, wherever the witnesses happen to be, there's this show coming on. It's blasphemy. It's from Satan, the devil. It's all full of apostate lies. The apostates did it. You know, we're being persecuted by certain Satan's world. You know how that goes. And all loyal witnesses were told, don't watch it. Well, since then, we've had A&E doing specials. We've had other networks doing specials. So I'm very much thanking you, Becky. And you brought up Stephen Lett standing up there in that camera looking so upset, like how could anybody believe these lies that the Watchtower protects pedophiles? Wow,
Well, in Marie, I knew my brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews and grand nieces and nephews all saw that, and I'm hoping that by now they've all seen it. Maybe they hear me and will understand their Texas little sister, little big sister, but I'm still a little sister, how her heart begs for them to get out of the fire. I am not going in that fire to get them, because I can't get them out of the fire unless I'm out of the fire. So I will say this, like I wasn't planning on, maybe this will give Barbara, if she's listening, to check it out. I don't know. But I think whatever other question you want to ask or somebody else, I'll answer. Thank you for keeping me in line, though, Anne Marie. I need it. I'm disabled, so I need it. It's like grocery shopping. You'd be my best friend. Go ahead. Are you there? Hello?
Sorry, dear. I have my new. I'm right there.
Oh, it's okay. No, that's fine.
Excuse me. Thank you. Just for the sake of the archives and for those who are listening now and who might listen later, it is very important because a lot of people don't know that this is a plague, in the Watchtower's own words. Pedophilia, pedophiles attacking innocent little baby girls and baby boys in the Watchtower has been going on forever. In the Watchtower's own words, it's a plague. The Erica Garza story was aired 2002. Anyone can find it. If you look on YouTube and just put in Dateline 2002 Watchtower or Dateline 2002 Erica Garza, Garza, and you will see the whole thing. There are segments, and it will back up what you're saying and so on. I hate to say this is a good thing, but I cannot help but be happy that your pedophiles at least seem to have a conscience or feel bad because you called him, which I think is amazing. I've never heard of anybody calling there.
He was married to an older sister. He was an older, my second sister. I shouldn't have even said that. So he was older than me. A lot. I was 10. I was 17. In fact, the day that I called him and he said, they want me to wait for the society to write back and tell us exactly what to do, he said, I'm stepping down. I said, okay. Bye. He's strong, bye. And it's just, what do? Part of the extended family. I'm not going to sit there and let him even look at me without me walking over to him, putting my hands on his shoulders, looking him dead in the eye, and saying, how are you doing? Are you being strong? Great. And then looking at his wife and telling her how much I love her and giving her a hug. And she knows.
Wow.
But it just doesn't bother me. Anyway, I love seeing, he was there at my mother's funeral, my sister's funeral, and then my nephew over in Dallas area doesn't even get invited to his stepsister's funeral. But, okay, because he's out, he doesn't get invited or doesn't even know about his stepsister dying. He got okay. They said don't show up, and they've got pedophiles coming to very appreciated and loved sisters and brothers' funerals. Okay?
Yeah. To whom are you referring when you said he doesn't get invited, he this, he that?
My nephew, my oldest nephew.
Now, is
he's been out for a long time.
Oh, it sounds like he's a good guy. Does he support you and believe you? Does he know about this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was born right after this happened, and he's the only thing that I kind of remember for a few months, except walking around and seeing my hands and my feet. I can think about it, but it's all, my conduct was terrible in 5th grade, and I didn't know why. I don't remember acting up in class. My dad always said that, if you get a bad grade, we can work on that, but there's no excuse for bad conduct. He was a gentleman, and that's what he taught us, be a lady and a gentleman. So anyway, I fail at that very often, but I'm working on it. So we all, from the top down, every time we got a P, which is poor conduct, we got 3 pops. Well, by the time I got to 4 Ps, my dad is looking at me because he knows me. He goes, "What's going on?" And I said, "I don't know." "Why'd you do that?" "I don't know, but I'm getting really good at writing. I will not act up in class on the board, Dad." And he says, "That's supposed to be smart." I said, "Well, I sure hope so. We're talking about school, right?" We were laughing. And he said, "Okay, you're going to get in real big trouble if you get this last one, a P." Guess what I did? I got a P. And guess what I did? I changed it to a G and initialed it in my teacher's initial. And it didn't work because not only was I 11, I wrote like I was 11. So, yeah, it's okay.
So what does the P stand for and what does the G stand for? And God,
poor. You got excellent, good, and poor.
Oh, poor. I missed that. Sorry. Oh my God! I cannot.
Saying I'm poor. I'm working on it. I got 3 jobs.
You're kind of hard on yourself, and I haven't heard.
Oh no, I'm not. I used to be a lot harder. Okay, I don't know the chick I used to be because I'm like, what was I thinking? I don't even. Yeah, that happens when life grows around you. You gotta look at yourself.
Well, you are an amazing woman, and I'm hoping. I tell everybody I do phone counseling. Well, I don't do it very much because it takes a lot out of me. But
I've done it. If you ain't, I tried to. I got too involved. I tried to. Not with the person. I got too involved with counseling others when I was counseling. And it was hurting. It was hurting within my soul. I couldn't do it. I had to help me first. So there we go.
So what I want
and that was 14 years ago, I think.
So the one thing I try to say is when I'm hearing someone talking about themselves and I will hear negative things like, I don't know why I did it. How could I have been so dumb? I'm working hard on it or anything, but I'm always looking for kudos to oneself. Like I'm proud of myself. I can't believe I survived it. I'm a survivor. I'm trying to rise above. You are a passionate, strong, intelligent lady that went through such a horrible thing that was people don't understand. It's not just what was done to you. It's that everything that is rightfully yours was taken away. Your right to your own body, your right to be safe in your own bed, your right to say no and have somebody listen to you. And to me, for you to forget like you did, it just, your poor little brain, your poor little spirit was so insanely traumatized that was your self-protection.
I had help there with me, Anne Marie. Visible, tangible help. I was up in the corner. The best thing I can describe it as is complete peace and love, and I wasn't alone. And I wasn't shown something that I was scared of either. And I knew I was okay.
You're amazing. Do you want
younger sister that got locked out of an apartment while this was happening, and I couldn't figure out where she was. And that's what worried me. Yep.
We might have time for one or two, just in case somebody's waiting. Your story.
Oh yeah, somebody else. Oh my gosh, it has been a long time. Somebody else needs to have space to talk. I'm just back unless somebody wants to say something. I don't need, accolades or anything. I'm just, your buddy. I'm Becky.
Okay, Becky. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead, dear.
Okay, Becky, I just wanted to tell you that took a lot of guts to call that elder at home.
Is this Debbie?
What?
Okay, good.
Debbie. That was like, oh my gosh, she actually called them at home, even though it was when you were 17. That was really, really brave. I was just shocked when you said that, and I've never heard of anybody doing that. Just like Anne Marie, that's a first time for a lot of us to hear anything like that. But I'm glad you did it, because that's a big part of healing. For yourself emotionally.
I was sitting there across the bar from his soon-to-be ex-wife and another one of my sisters, and I said, you want to call him? She goes, I can't believe you didn't call. You want to call him? He goes, no. And I said, well, I'm calling him. I mean, she's my big sister. She's supposed to be, the one that handles things. And so in 1 second, I knew I had I'm just going to do it. They're going to hear it in his voice. And before I even said anything, he was like, Becky, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And they were just listening. And that's what I'm saying. Their mouths hit the counter. Of course, one of them, the one that wasn't married to him, I've lost her when she was 39. 5 kids. Ugh, it was miserable. I have to tell y'all later. Oh, but Debbie, I'm so glad about your chair. Now we need to work on getting you a little foot bath that has a little whirlpool in it.
Okay. Don't worry about that. This is plenty for me. I'm really happy. But I was going to say, just like Anne Marie said a second ago. My mind just went blank.
I'm going to go for it.
Can't leave my head. No. Well, anyway, the fact that you called yourself was really important for your own mental health. So it wouldn't have been the same if somebody else had called him. Oh, yeah, and I was going to say what Anne Marie said. Him apologizing to you and taking some responsibility, that's a big deal, too, because my abuser, I had to apologize to his wife for what he did to me. And he never me. So that would have been so cathartic for me to hear, and I'm sure anybody who's been raped or molested feels the same way. a huge part of getting through that is just them acknowledging, yes, I did this, I made a mistake, I'm sorry. Of course, we would like to hear that from the Watchtower Society,
yeah,
too.
right?
Like they say, that'll be a cold day in hell before that happens. But thank you, Becky, for sharing.
Oh, you're welcome. You know,
Thank you, Debbie.
I'm just gonna say it was a good feeling for him to hear my voice, because that's what I wanted him to do, was hear me, little me, you know.
Mm.
And he said he was sorry and everything. So I don't care. I'm already beyond that. I mean, goodness gracious. And
Emery's so good about interviewing.
And you know how they have to do an apology letter. Well, a week later, I get this letter, and I opened it up and I read the first thing, and it was in his writing. It was about to start off how much he's sorry and stuff, and I walked over to the trash, tore it to shreds, watered it up, and threw it in there under the eggs. Okay? Because I didn't need to see it. Because it's like I can't unthink it. Why would I want to read it? I already got what I needed in front of witnesses, my two sisters who were listening. See what I'm saying? So no matter, we didn't have recordings back then, or cell phones. And if you wanted, I mean, they were there, they heard it. In case he changes his mind. I didn't know what he was going to do. I sure was praying his heart was going in the right direction and he'd do something about this.
Wow, good for you.
Well, it's just, you know, I'm talking about playing football. I'm one of the guys and I'm the girl on the field and playing football and baseball and hanging out with the guys camping and hunting and fishing and at the beach. And so what am I going to do? Not call him? I'd push him off the pier if I thought he was hot. You know what I mean? Go, you're sunburned, get in the water. You know, it was one of my brothers. I had blocked it out. And so for 7 years,
Wow.
I treated him just like he was one of my brothers. So, you know.
And I do understand that. I understand blocking it out, and I understand
messing with the love you got for him, too.
Yep.
You know, all that time and having to.
I need to ask, excuse me, I need to ask, we're kind of we're at the end. I just need to ask just a minute.
Okay.
I need to ask Rick, because I can't see the board, can't see how many people are waiting to talk to you. My brother Rick, how are we doing on time?
Well, we can go a little longer here. I have some questions for Becky as well. Yep. So
yeah, Rick.
Yeah. So, anyways, what I was thinking, Becky, I'm listening to your story there, and Debbie was right. You're absolutely brave calling that elder that perverted man. Now,
he wasn't an elder at the time.
Wasn't an elder at the time.
But
okay.
The second time he was.
Okay. So, just to bring it up to speed here, how much older was he than say you? You were 10 years old when this happened. How old was he? How old would you estimate he was?
20, 21, 22.
And you say he was married at the time, or he got married later?
To my older sister.
Oh, he's married to your older sister.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Now
He was. Probably one of another reasons why I remembered it is because they had split up. They were having problems. And so I guess I just wasn't worried about hurting her feelings or something. I don't know. It just popped up a couple months after I got baptized.
Now, do you think, Becky, that he did this to other young people?
I cannot say. He's not shown me anything when I was around or anything, or I do not know. I cannot speak on that, Rick, because really person's not a pedophile or a child molester until they're a child molester. Now, Jesus knows they are in their heart, but we don't. Nobody knows. I haven't heard anything from the grapevines that I'm connected with on any other thing other than him taking care of his aging mom. They just lost their dad, a couple of nephews, and
Yeah. So what got my attention? What got my attention? The bravery, like Debbie was saying earlier. But now, when you call this man up, it sounded like it didn't really bother him too much that you called him. Was he kind of shaken up over this, or he just said, "Fine, I'm just going to step down and we'll go into the committee"? He didn't seem to want to.
I didn't even have to tell him why I was calling. He said, "I know where you're calling. I'm stepping down." And I said, "Okay." He goes, "They want me to wait for them to write the society and to get some clarity on what the written word of that magazine says." Okay? And I'm like, okay. And he goes, "Oh, well, I'm not waiting. I'm stepping down. My dad's telling me not to wait." And he goes, "I'm stepping down. I have no business being in that position." And that's what he said. And I said, okay. But no, he's never surprised to hear from me because he knows I'm just going to stand up. I'm going to look at him until he tells the truth. I'm just going to go, "Nope, that don't work for me. Nope, try again. Nope, nope, nope. Okay, that's better. Thanks." So he knows that I'm going to know if he's going to lie. But I knew as soon as what he said, "Becky, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." Okay, tell him I'll go see him. I knew he was going to tell him everything. He may have even told him more stuff than I remember. They never called me into a committee meeting.
Yeah, hold on right there. Now, just this. So he went into a committee hearing. You were never called in. You were never called in to say anything or present your case.
Nope, I had already talked to one of the brothers that was on that committee meeting with my mother alone in the Kingdom Hall, up on the stage at the table and chairs. I can even remember what was on the walls.
Well, that is just unusual because, I mean, maybe not unusual in the Watchtower, but see, they just buried it. You know, the man called him in and even removed him, or he removed himself, but they didn't want any gossip or people talking around the congregation. This is heinous. This is evil. How the Watchtower deals with these situations. See, they just they buried it. They buried it.
It's a vile den of vipers. Is all. It covers everything.
Well, I'll tell you,
who they are, Rick.
Well, no, I have to say, Becky, you really are a brave woman. You seem to be doing okay with all of this today. I know it was a terrible thing to happen to you as a young girl, and you seem to be able to move on in life. Has your life been totally affected by this, would you say? Has there been...
It has been after I was disfellowshipped. Yeah, they were nice and busy throwing stones at me. They never said, "Go and sin no more." Yeah, that was great. I did ask because when I went into my committee meeting, hang on a second, it's real short. I walked in and I said, "Boy, somebody's got some great cologne on." And I sit down. And at the end, after saying, "You know, what did you do to entice and what you do and all that?" I'm like, I just looked at them and said, "Y'all." I just grinned at them and they said, "You have anything else to say?" I said, "Nope." They said, "Well, we don't feel like you're telling the truth." And in my mind, I'm like, you have no business knowing any of this about me. And I said, "Okay, you guys go do a good job. Pray about it. Do a good job." And they come back in, "Well, we're going to disfellowship you." I said, "Okay." So I got up. He goes, "You don't have anything to say?" I said, "No." And he goes, "You don't want to wait for our prayer?" I said, "Not again."
Well, hold on one second, Becky.
I'm sorry. I grew up. Some of these brothers knew me since I was 13.
Well, wait.
So
why are they just fellowshipping you?
This is when I'm older, after I've left my now ex-husband. And you said, how did it affect your life? I'm about to let you know. Okay. I walked out and I turned around and I said, oh, by the way, I'd like to know whose cologne that was because you knew you were coming to see me. Did you pick it just to entice me? I didn't think so. Turned around and walked out. I'm sorry, but I've had moments of being
Smart ass. You stood up for yourself.
Thank you, but yeah, you're right. I have. I've had to be. I've been moved to just twist that a little bit so they will wake up. Pour some water on their head. I don't know.
Good for you.
Well, I care for them. I don't want to. Here's a shovel. Yours is wearing out. Here, I'll help you. Dig your hole, please. It's pitiful. I mean, I want to cry, but, then when it gets ridiculous from them, like all these changes. Rick, I knew a brother that had a full beard. One of the most beautiful brothers I've ever known. He partook. And he was considered one of the anointed, but he had this full beard. And they would never let him have any privileges in the hall. And I never knew why, but I knew he had bad ingrown hairs, really bad on his face. I mean, they look like cysts, And then he shaved. He wanted to get married, and he shaved, and he wanted to be an elder and everything, and that worked out for him. And I haven't spoken to him since his beard thing came out.
Is there any last things that you want to share? I'm hearing a lot of strength, and I'm hearing that with you, Becky, there is what we would call spunk, real spunk. You victim, but you refuse to be living as a kowtowing, head-hanging victim. You acted up in school. You stood up to whomever, told off the elders because you see the hypocrisy and how dare you judge me. And oh, by the way, the one who's wearing that cologne, did you just wear that to try to entice me? Good for you. That is what I call a smart ass with scum.
One of them forgot to take his vacation picture off his living room shelf when we had a book study on Tuesday night back then at his place, and I known him since I was 13. My mom and another sister studied with his mom. But anyway, I'm walking in and I go to sit down, but before I sit down, I look around, read the room, check it out, because, I'm an interior, I like to decorate too, and I'm just checking it out. And here's this brother on an island somewhere, this elder on an island somewhere, and he's got a fake tribal tattoo that's about, I don't know, maybe 2.5 inches thick, thorns and everything just going all around his arm, and he's sitting there like this. And all I see is the top of a red bathing suit. And I was like, if he's a mosquito, I'm going to die.
Yep, understood. Okay.
But I'm sitting there going, how can you represent yourself as a Jehovah's Witness like that? I don't care if you're on vacation or not. What you got to say, brother? Because that's what I wanted to say, and I didn't say it. Got to pull my darts back.
Yeah. Okay, Becky, I cannot thank you enough for coming in. I would like to know, for the sake of the audience listening and for the sake of the archives, because your story will be listened to by others over time.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything that you would like to leave the audience with?
I know every time that I hear anybody's experience, It reminds me of little things that I missed along the way. And if you listen carefully and you search your soul and your heart, and you ask Jesus for clarity of mind and soundness of mind and all the love that your heart just will hold, He will help you be clear and sound in your own mind about yourself. And that's a best place to start. And this is a good place to start. So is anybody else, whatever, like Linda or June or Fran. There's different personalities and everybody has love for you. Find one that suits you. I go back and forth. I check out everybody's. So, but yeah, do that.
Good for you. And I really thank you for that. I want to thank Rick for coming in and really helping out with the interview. This was a little difficult to hear. Becky,
I must say something, Anne-Marie. I could not have done any of my life without Jesus Christ in it. That's my personal feelings.
And I'm hearing you, and I do understand exactly what you're saying. Becky, I just want you to know that we're very grateful to you. We admire you. And it's nice to hear of a pedophile, even though what he did was terrible. At least you seemed that he had a conscience, because 99% of them get away with it, and they're arrogant and they don't care. But we do need to go to Rick now and to JW World News, Sunday edition. Thank you so very much. Rick?
Yes, we want to thank her too. Thank you very much, Becky, as Anne-Marie said. Well, we're going to go to JW World News. That's coming up next right here on the 6 Screens Telenetwork. We're glad you're with us. We got a lot of people coming in here on a Sunday. That always makes me feel good. Of course, we get way more people on a Saturday night, but thank you guys for all coming in on Sunday, those that are. So why don't we end this program right here? We thank Anne-Marie. And we'll have Anne-Marie back with us in 2 weeks. We appreciate her efforts on the 2 shows she does here, and we appreciate what she does to put these programs together and to do a great job interviewing some of these guests. Thank you, Anne-Marie. All right, now we're going to go to the news, as we say. We'll end this program here. Stay with us, so don't leave YouTube.